I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Hey, we're live and good morning. Hope you're doing well. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Computer just did something really weird I haven't seen in 456 episodes. So, hey, it's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I hope you're doing well. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way. And do it in such a way to hopefully bring value to your customer, get you home in a decent time, and have some fun along the way. Today, as I said, the 456th episode, it's about 7:51, so it's a little bit later than normal. Kind of crazy stuff going on here in Philadelphia. Still rioting. Well, not rioting so much, just mostly looting. People just breaking into people's businesses and stealing their stuff. Kids riding up down the street in their bicycles, teenagers hitting cars, things like that. So it's kind of up a little bit later than normal last night, just with the door cracked open just to make sure people aren't going a little nuts down the street. You know, sometimes if there's a presence, calms things down a little bit, but who knows? Anyway, it's raining today, so hopefully I can sleep in tonight. Go to bed early. So what are we talking about today? I was talking to one of my coachees last night. We were talking about this no estimate thing. And I'm going to talk about no estimate and what things I do real quick. But then I'm going to go in, how about an idea for new teams don't do any estimating. And I'm going to go through the process of my logic. It's a challenge. I don't know if anybody does it this way. They may do, maybe a new thing, but I'll share that with you. So when I do metrics and when I help with teams, and there's a thing about no point estimates because how much value is estimates, and there's a whole thing on it. Okay, fine. Okay, there's a thing that's like, don't like any points, don't like velocity, don't like any of that. More power to you. You got your team developing. I wouldn't give a crap about any of that either, as long as they're developing code and building what they can. It's good. And I don't really care if they have points either, to be honest with you. A lot of places do, and they're going to want it, and they're going to go there. Just to be practical and honest with you. It's not a fairy tale world, and they do want it. But how do you do it in such a way that it's not impinging on a team, get some value out of it, and help your team grow, right? Part of the nice thing about it is you can just show visuals and show growth curves. What I do, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you point or don't point, you use counts or not counts, anybody can manipulate the system if they really want to. These are smart people. They're not stupid people. These developers are smart. And you may think they're not, but they are, and they can do a lot of things that they really want to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. It takes a lot of brain power to do what they do. Anything takes a lot of brain power, and any human wants to do it, they can get around it. So I usually do two things. I usually like a count of stories, and I look at points. And I usually, when I chart things, I put the two of them up there because you need the two, because it'll tell you two different things. One, if they're not pointing the stories, but you're looking for points and they put a lot of things, it tells you they're hiding stuff, right? If you do a lot of counts, you can't tell sizes and complexity, how much work it is compared to what needs to be done, and that's where the points come from. So there's two little schools of thought on that, right? But what I want to offer to you, and then we're going to spend most of the time on this topic, came up with a thought last night, watching a video, someone's asked me about it. Everybody always asks me, well, how do you set up a new team, Greg? Every time, safe, everything. Safe says use a rule of thumb of 8 hours is 1 point. Not a big fan of it. There's always a big push. Don't put hours and points. Okay, fine. How about this? For their first sprint, and maybe the second sprint, for the first sprint, don't point a thing. Don't estimate, don't size, nothing. Just go to the backlog for 2 weeks, whatever your time box is, and just do work. So everybody, how do you figure out velocity? How about we not figure out velocity and just do the work? So what I'm proposing is you have a backlog. Theoretically, you have a backlog for the team to work on. The team just grabs stuff in the backlog, and they still have their task and who does testing and who does development work and all that. That's still the same, doesn't care, because all of that process doesn't care about estimating and pointing and all that. It doesn't care. You still got to do the same things. Same thing everywhere, whether it be waterfall or agile, by the way. So they grab the work for 2 weeks. You take the stories, the team works it, they develop it, they test it, develop it, test it, develop, test it for 2 weeks, and you get this whole list of stories. And then what I would do, so I did my little whiteboard. I think it's upside down. Can you tell? I don't know. So got a whiteboard. So let's say we got a couple things. Then I want you to size them in proportional to each other. I didn't say estimate, I said size. So let's say this pink one is really a big one that we did. We'll put that over here. Okay. Put that there. Maybe this orange one is like here, and maybe these two yellow ones, maybe this light yellow one's over here. So maybe there's like a couple here. Okay, so we size them relatively. So we took the stories. We don't look at time. You could, okay, but just look at complexity. Don't look at risk because it's your first sprint, so there is no risk, right? Because you have no idea. So you take your first sprint, you put stuff in, you look at complexity. You could look at time too. How many people did it take? How many calls? How many different systems? How many connections? Maybe this one had a lot of them in it, and then you lay this out. Then you could either do it with one sprint, so with 2 weeks, or you could do it with 2 sprints, and then maybe you get some more. Maybe you do another sprint. Just pick the stories off the backlog in a priority order that the product owner did. Maybe we did that one. Maybe we did another orange one. You know, right? You know, maybe we did another green one. I don't know. Maybe we did that. Maybe we did another yellow one. It'll be here towards me. It's kind of weird. It's opposite when you look at the screen. So maybe we did another yellow one. So we got 2 sprints worth of work, okay? So 2 sprints are worth of work. We relative size them. We got a good quantity. Okay, now, and you'll know which sprint you do which one. So maybe like this was sprint 1. This is 2. This is 2. This is 1. This is 2. This is 1. This is 1. This is 2. You know, and you know what sprint. These are sprints. It's not sizing. Then what I would say, okay, we got this. And I've said this before. How do I do points, Greg? Well, I asked the team. Do you want to use an average of 3 or do you want to use an average of 5? Your choice. Because then I go based on there. Let's just say for simplicity, because I don't care about any comparison, I say this is going to be our average because we did a lot of them and we like the number 3 on my team. So this is going to be 3 as the average. So therefore, this is a 2, this is a 1, and this is a 5. That's how you estimate. So now, what do we just do? We didn't take any estimates. We didn't take any size. We didn't try to overthink what's a 5 because I don't know what I want to do. You have 2 sprints worth of data, empirical data, past data. We size some things, right? Then here's a couple things you do. Want to give you a reference for all the future sprints. Like when you get a story, they have some reference data to say, oh, yeah, that was like these. Yeah, it's a 3. Oh, no, it's a 5. Maybe it's an 8, right? Maybe it's too big. And it gives you the data. So you just do 1 month, 2 sprints. You got a really good number for what it is. Not only that, let's say this is a 3. So this is a 3 point. This is a 3 point. So this goes 6 total. So this is a 5 point. This is a 2 point. It's a 1 point. Okay, so we got 1, 3, 6. Another 3. I'm making it too hard. 9, and I got like 14. So I got 14 points, and my sprint were done. And then I got 1. This is a 2. 1, 2. Okay, what am I saying? This is 3. This is a 6. This is a 9. And we got 9s on the next sprint. Okay, it's probably true. We got a lot more done. Second sprint, we didn't get as much done because we learned our stuff we had to do. So it's giving you a velocity, right? You do your third sprint, then you apply the rules. Okay, which one's bigger, whichever, and you assign points. So that's my thought. First 2 sprints, don't size a thing. Just have a backlog, you know. Just have a backlog. You know, you're going to get a backlog. And just pick stuff off, man. Just pick it off as it goes. It's been prioritized. Right? Because the customer's going to know. So prioritize your backlog. Team just goes, picks it off. Boom, 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 boom. Just see how much they can get done, and tell them mix it up. Don't take like things that look too complicated. Look, whatever you see from reading the stories, because theoretically you're gonna do some tasking. You're gonna talk about the stories before you start anyhow. Classic sprint stuff, sprint planning. You take the stories, you task it out, you talk about it, make sure you got enough information, go ahead and do it, and then you task it out. You're gonna find a lot of things in one sprint, maybe two sprints. Two sprints would be great because you give you a better sample size of what's going on in the workload, but you do that real simple. So you got a new team to Scrum and pointing. I would even say you can apply this to teams that have worked together in the past. To be honest with you, I think it's a great idea. I say take your backlog from a team that exists that's going to go into Scrum. They have a backlog, and just say, okay, for the next 2 weeks, just pick stuff. And at the end, we'll do a retrospective, or you could do it during your review, and we'll see what we got done. We'll relatively size them during the part of the retrospective, say what worked, what didn't work, what were the risks, what are the problems we found, what are the unknowns. Then do it again. And then goes the clock. It's still in here. Anyway, thought I wouldn't have the clock, but I do have the clock. So I got to cut this part out, I think. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so that's my thought. So you have a backlog. Team grabs the work for the backlog for 2 weeks. You don't point them. It's prioritized. At the end of 2 weeks, you see how much work you get done. You can relatively size them then, and then just apply my technique for say, okay, which ones are average? And do you as a team want to use a 2, a 3, or a 5 as an average point? You know, I like 3. Why do I like 3? Because there's a 1 and a 2, and then there's a 5 and an 8. It's just my logic. I don't care, right? I don't spend a lot of time, but it gives you an idea, and then the next sprint you can size against that chart you did in the first sprint. If you have 2 sprints, it's even better because you get 2 sprints worth of data. All of a sudden, you're not using hours, you're not using anything, you're not making shit up. It's empirical data saying our team's average velocity looks like it's this because we spent 4 weeks just picking work and trying to get done. Now we have something to measure and put up on the wall and see how we're doing in reference to previous sprints and how can we make that better and all that kind of stuff. So my challenge is the next time you get a new team, don't ask them to point squat. Okay? No pointing. None. Just say, here's your backlog, start working. You know, that would actually freak them out. Could you imagine if you came into a group and you're in the group and they say, okay, Scrum Master, Agile Coach, what do we do? What do we have? How do we do this? I'm like, do you have a backlog? Yeah. Start working. 2 weeks, we'll find out how much work you got done. Based on how much work you got done, we'll figure out our velocities, we'll figure out our points, we'll figure out our sizing, we'll do all that kind of stuff. But we're going to do it 2 weeks from now. What? We can't start. We don't know estimate. I don't care. Just start working. Just like you did before. We don't need to estimate. We don't need to think about it. So for the first 2 weeks, that's your time box. Code away and test away, right? It's my suggestions, my thought of the day. Tell me if it's different. If you've seen it before, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to know if it's a unique thought process or if it's something you've all seen before. But that would be my challenge. First 2 weeks, don't do it. And then at the end of the sprint, we relatively size them. And then based on the relative sizing, we put point estimates. I like to use 3 as the average one. So whenever we have the most we do, I make that a 3 and then 1 and 2 and then 5, 6, 5, 8, 13, whatever. On for that. And then you have a base. You have a velocity, you have a sizing, you have an estimating process, and people kind of have an idea what they're doing. And you could stop the questions that never end. My proposal. Let me know. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Stay warm. Stay safe. Hope things go well in Philly. And ring the little bell if you want to see what we're posting. I did post a little blooper reel yesterday from our last Mentos thing. It was a 15-second thing. I put that on TikTok just for the heck of it. And then I put it on YouTube too. So, all right. Have fun. Have a good day. Happy scrumming. Take care. Bye.